Hi guys, this is my second YouTube video. I was kind of not sure what I should post as my second video, but all that came to mind was just to share my testimony already, because these testimonies is what really leads people to Christ. These testimonies is what just brings awareness and understanding of the love of God and what He can truly do in a person's life. I am a little nervous because I just feel like when I talk about my testimony, it's just a thing it's something so big that happened to my life that I can honestly say if I had to share one story with a person, it would be my testimony. And it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. It's that point that where you were lost for so long and you just are finally home. And I just pray that God just gives me the confidence to share this, that all my anxiety is casted away. And I just pray that all the everything I want to share in this video, I'm able to just remember and share. I did have to jot some things down because it is a lot, and I'm the type of person that I like to tell the details, because the details is what matters. Okay, so my testimony. Let's go back a little bit to my childhood, I guess you can say, like before everything happened. So my childhood. I was born in Tampa, Florida. So I lived here. I was raised in Tampa. So I actually ended up moving to Miami my 6th grade year of middle school. 6th grade, I ended up moving to Miami. I never had that foundation growing up of going to church, being a Christian household, or just simply believing in God. I knew who God was, but I wasn't too familiar with, Jesus dying for us on the cross, My dad's side is actually, his like parents are Christian, and all his brothers and sisters are Christian, but all the other side, they're all Jehovah's Witness. So, that's different beliefs. And then my mom's side, the only one that was Christian was her grandmother and then one of her aunts. But not all of my mom's side, but some of them were really, really heavy into the occult. So when I was younger, I was getting fed different types of things. The Jehovah's Witnesses, they believe in God, but they don't really give the glory to Jesus. And in the Bible, it says that through Jesus is how we get to the Father. So that's important for us to recognize that Jesus really did a huge sacrifice for us, and He is all a part of the glory that should be given. So, and then on my mom's side, I also got fed some of the occult, and with very demonic stuff. You pray to saints and stuff like that, and at the end of the day, the Bible says to not praise or worship idols or saints, because the only one we should be praising and worshiping is God, the Most High. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, I grew up all my life kind of getting fed one thing on this year, one thing on that year. So I was at a point in my life, I remember even my sophomore year, I really didn't know what to believe at this point. So I even started believing in evolution, that we used to be apes and we're humans now. Ridiculous, I know. But everybody's testimony is different, and at one point I didn't believe. And I can say it's so sad that I got to that point in life, and it's just crazy that it could even get to that point sometimes when you're just so far away from God, you don't even believe in Him anymore. So, all right, let's get really into the testimony. Now you guys know a little bit about my past, a little bit about how my foundation was. Now let's get into it. So it was my junior year of high school. I was in a relationship at that time. Let's talk about my mindset a little bit before, because this relationship is a kind of a big part of my testimony. It's not like really a part of it, but at the same time it is, because it happened during that time. So this was going into, I started dating my first and only ever boyfriend that I ever had. before my junior year. So we met in summer, and this summer my mindset was really like, oh, I want to have fun, I want to go out there this summer, you know, thinking I'm grown. I was not. I want to go out there this summer. I want to really talk to people, because I've always been a very closed-in girl when it comes to like relationships and stuff. I don't really like putting myself out there. I haven't really been I was never like the girl, that friendly girl. That just wasn't me. But this summer I wanted to change things up a bit, which I don't advise you to do that, but it's all a part of my testimony. Sorry guys. Okay, so it's all a part of my testimony. So this year I wanted to have a little bit of fun, and I ended up, you know, meeting my ex. We ended up hanging out, ended up being a 2-year relationship. So I started realizing that I was finding my identity. Mind you, I didn't know whose I was. I didn't know what my identity was. I didn't have an identity. So the tricky thing is that when you get into relationships without really having an identity, without knowing who you are, you tend to start finding your identity in the person that you're dating, and that is the worst thing that you can do. So in this relationship, my junior year, it really started hitting me my junior year, the depression. I was depressed, man, to the point that I did not want to eat because I felt so much anxiety. I felt so anxious and nervous that when I would look at food, I would get disgusted because I felt like if I eat that, I'm gonna throw up. And just thinking about like those moments where I was in such a low point of my life, it's sad. And people, they don't talk about a lot of depression, they don't talk about mental illness, but listen, it's real. It is real. And the way your mind works sometimes can take you to the lowest place ever. So I'm just gonna be raw and real, because at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. I'm gonna be raw and real in this testimony. Okay guys? So I was having sex before marriage, and God, there's a reason why God says that you should not do these things, man. So things started really hitting me the end of my junior year. I was in this relationship. I still have so much love for this person. This person's not a bad person, but that's the time God hit me in my life, and that's where I just did the full 360, whatever you want to say. Just a transformation that truly changed my life forever. So God just really just hit me, that, man, it's just that conviction just started coming like crazy. And I'm like, why do I feel this guilt? I'm like, why do I feel so lost? There would be times where I would even talk to my ex and I would be like, I feel like I'm missing something. I'm like, I don't know what it is, man. I'm just not happy. It's like I have everything, you know, I could want, and I'm not happy. I didn't know who I was anymore. I wasn't living for myself. I wasn't living with a purpose. I was just living to live, trying to do these little things to fulfill myself. Nothing was working out for me. My mind, my thoughts were getting out of hand. I had a really lustful mind, and it made me really depressed, because I knew that there was something in me convicting me, and I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be pure. I wanted to have a pure heart. I wanted to have a pure mindset. I started becoming really depressed. I didn't know what my purpose was. Like I said, I lost a whole bunch of weight. Like, I lost a lot of weight. I looked sick. And on top of that, I had anemia, so I looked even worse. I was just at a low place, man. A low place. So these were like the last weeks of my junior year. I remember one day I was in my room and I was crying and crying. I remember there was like a time in my junior year where I missed a whole week of school. And I remember before that week that I missed the whole week, I was in class crying because my mind and my thoughts would not leave me alone. I wanted to escape my mind, and I didn't know how to the point where I never told anybody this, but I even thought of suicide. Thank God I never did that, because I would never go that far, but it gets to a point where you just, the only way you feel like anything will end is to kill yourself. So I would talk to my ex, you know, he would try to help me. I would talk to a lot of people, but it's like the advice was not taking my thoughts away. Nothing was helping me. So I remember I missed a whole week of school. And I started thinking I had OCD. It was obsessive compulsion disorder. So the devil was trying to trick me, making me think I had some type of disease when it wasn't that. It was that I was coming to a point in my life where the Holy Spirit was convicting me and I needed God. But the devil has a way of making you think that you got some type of disorder, or you're just going crazy. And that's why people end up really going crazy, man, because the devil has a way of making you think those stuff. And I started doing all this research. I was like, OMG, I have obsessive compulsive disorder. Like, I can't get these thoughts out of my head. Like, something's going on with me. Like, I'm going crazy. Da 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 da. That wasn't helping me either. Me trying to put a disorder on myself was not helping me either. And then I was talking to my mom. I was like, Mom, do you think I should go to the doctor and get on pills or do something? That didn't work. And I remember one day, my thoughts just got too overwhelming. I didn't know what to do anymore. And I was sitting in my room. And then I was like, all that thought. One thought came into my head. It was my last option. The last thing I could think of to finally save me from this hell that I had in my mind. This depression thoughts of no identity, no self-worth, feeling so hopeless, feeling so depressed, feeling so sad all the time, not laughing, not being happy, having no purpose. I was like, maybe I should pray. Maybe I should pray. I was like, maybe I should pray. So I remember I got out of my bed, I got on my knees, and I cried out to God. I was like, God, and I had it's funny, I wrote notes, but like I'm not even looking at them. I'm letting God guide me on this. God, it's all you. Okay. I had a faith of a mustard seed. You know, I think it says it in the Bible. I don't know. My friend has a necklace and it's like the faith of a mustard seed. Whatever. If that makes sense. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Bear with me. I got on the floor and I cried out to God. I remember that after prayer, you have to say in Jesus' name. So that's how I did it. I was like, God, I don't know if you're hearing me. I don't know if you're there. I know I've been away for so long. I know that I've strayed from you so far that to the point of not believing. But I was like, God, just help me. I was like, God, please take away these thoughts. I just prayed, and with the little faith I had faith. I had faith that something was going to happen in my life. I even kind of started prophesying over myself. I was like, you're going to get over this depression. I was like, God is going to do something good in your life. And I started watching, somehow, I don't know how it popped up. I started reading like I tried reading little Bible verses and stuff, you know, trying to see if this was going to help me. And I came across a testimony on YouTube. It was John Ramirez's testimony. It was this guy. He was once santero, and he was a demon worshiper. He was the worst of the worst, okay? He did some really bad stuff in the occult. Like, he used to do spells to kill people. And his testimony talks about how he was transformed. God had transformed his life. And when I saw that testimony, I was like, oh, shoot. I'm like, if God can do that, if God can transform this guy, I'm like, God can transform my life. And that's why today I am sharing my testimony. And if you're a believer and you're watching this and you have a testimony, I encourage you to share your testimony, because your testimony can change somebody's life, man. It can. So there's so many people who are lost out there that they don't have no direction. And like I said, they might not have that foundation in their family as well. And just one little word can really change their lives, man. I'm telling you right now, because that testimony, I was motivated. I was like, I'm going to seek God. I'm like, this is what I need. I was like, this is what I need. It doesn't end there, okay? Because the devil knew. The devil knew I was starting to realize the truth. The devil knew that I was about to have my breakthrough in life, that God was really going to do something in my life. So whatever. After I started watching videos and really getting, you know, I started watching a lot of Christian content, like videos, testimonies. Like, I was like, this is what I need. I was like, God, this is you. You led me to this videos, God. Everything's, my thoughts my thoughts were still there, but little by little they went away. And this is where we have to be very careful, because what we tend to do is we ask God, he gives it to us, and then we tend to, when we're all good again, we're like, all right, I don't need God anymore. I'm good now. I'm good. Finally, I'm good. And what God does is that he will also test your faith. So it did take it took some months for those thoughts to finally go away, because God wanted to see where my faith was standing. So months passed, man, months passed. Summer, my relationship really started going downhill, because mind you, I wasn't reading the Bible anymore. I kind of like strayed away from that. I was like, since I was good, I was like, you know what, I'm good. I remember this one day, so my relationship started going downhill, so I already had like second thoughts about it, but I was still in the relationship. So I was still doing me, still doing my life. I didn't fully surrender to God yet, but God was already knocking at my door. He was knocking at my door, and all he was doing was waiting until I finally opened the door to him, finally fully surrendered to him. And so, okay, I was walking home one day, just from my bus stop to my house. This was the beginning of my summer passed, and now it's the beginning of my senior year. Some girl gets out of her car, and she comes up to me, and she's like, hey, she's like, can I ask you something very quick? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And she's like, if you were to die right now, would you go to heaven or hell? And I'm like, in my head, I was like, God, this isn't really happening right now. I was like, God, is this you? I'm like, all these months I've waited, is this happening for a reason? This is kind of weird that I prayed and months passed, and I'm good now, but now is God trying to speak to me again? So I was like, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you, I'll probably go to hell. And that summer I was going clubbing a lot, but that's for another story, because I don't want to get into too much. This is really just about the testimony. But that summer I was clubbing a lot. I was trying to go out. I just wasn't doing the right things, okay? While these thoughts, mind you, these thoughts will still pop up in my head, but I kind of got over them a bit, and I kind of would just push them away. And she ended up telling me, she shared the gospel to me, and she ended up telling me what Jesus did in her life, and she invited me to her church. I took that as a sign, but I was like, nah. I was like, it probably wasn't anything. I was like, I'm good. So a couple weeks pass, and there's a card in front of my house, and it's to a church, and I'm like, I'm good. I was like, I'm good. I was like, that's nothing. That's not a sign or anything. I'm good. I kind of ignored that. I was ignoring God's voice. I was really ignoring God's voice. So me and there's this story is long and very detailed. I am so sorry, but just bear with me, because it's gonna get good. There's a next door neighbor. I have this next door neighbor now. I've been friends with her since I was a little girl. And out of nowhere, we reconnected our friendship, and we started hanging out. And this is when me and my ex's relationship started really going downhill. It was not going good at all. It was like at the end of its rope, like to the point where it was about to be over. And so then I started hanging out with this girl a lot, and I started getting really close to her mom as well. So me and my ex were already kind of planning to maybe part ways. Like, we were kind of debating on it, but we were like, no, let's keep like trying to work this out. And we were like, no, like we'll be good, like so on and so on. And so then one day I was actually hanging out with the girl's mom, and we went to this lady's house, and this lady was Christian. Never met this lady ever. Years ago I went to her wedding, and I ended up going to her house with my friend's mom. And she looked at me, and she was like, do you go to church? And during this time I was kind of dabbling in the testimony videos again. I would really like watching things like that, but I wasn't trying to fully surrender to God already. Like, I was like kind of like whatever, like ignoring it. And she's like, do you go to church? And then I'm like, I don't. I was like, you know what, but I would really like to. I've actually been trying to find one I can go to and stuff. And she was like, well, I have this life group where we gather together. It's at the pastor's house, so I'd really like for you to go. So I was like, okay, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna go. The next week rolls by, and it was, I think, Thursday, because those are the days my life group. And when I tell you, this is the day that left a mark on me forever. This is the day where I knew, okay, I was in my depression. I cried out to God. I begged. I had that little bit of faith. The girl came up to me that day, the card in front of my house. I'm like, it snapped at me. I'm like, God has been trying to speak to me this whole time. I'm like, God, you're real. I'm like, wow. Am I really hearing your voice right now? Like, is this the truth? And so then that day we went to the life group, the pastor's house. And actually, before, I was actually not going to go. I was going to end up not going. But God was tugging my heart to go. He was just tugging and tugging and tugging my heart to go. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, let me go. I was like, I never know what might happen today. And this might be my only chance. I had a good feeling about that day. I had a really, really good feeling about that day. And right when I walked into the house, I felt the love of Jesus surrounding me. So many people coming up to me, welcoming me. You can see the love and the joy in these people's hearts and their faces and the way that they just welcomed you. And I was like, I want to be like these people. I'm like, these people have something and I want that. I'm like, Jesus, are you working in all of these people? I'm like, because this love that they're expressing, this just feeling of peace, I'm like, man, I haven't felt this in such a long time. And it's like when you're away from home, when you're on a vacation for so long and finally you come back to your house and you're like, you just take that deep breath in and you're like, home sweet home. And that's how I felt at my pastor's house, because I knew something good was about to happen. So the pastor got into the word and I just felt it was like a fire in me to get to know God more. I was like there's something in me. And I was like, and I want to keep doing this. I want to keep coming to this place. I really, really, really want to surrender. So obviously with my relationship and everything, I knew I was already starting to get to know the commandments and everything. So I was like, all right, God was really putting it in my heart. It's either me or the relationship, because in this relationship, you're still sinning. He's like, I'm trying to do something in your life. I'm trying to do something to you. But to truly do something to you, I'm going to need you alone for a little while. I'm going to need you by yourself so that you can truly find your identity in me. And when I felt God tell me that, I was like, man, it hurt me. It hurt me to make that hard decision. But I had to do it. So me and my ex, we actually ended up breaking up. I thought I was never going to be able to make that decision. Truly, I thought I was never going to be able to make that decision. I thought it was going to be the hardest thing ever. But I'm telling you, if you have God in your life, He will give you that strength. This is the good thing. We're going to go through hard things in life. The only difference is with having God is that He gives you strength to endure those things, versus with not having God, you can't do it alone. Okay? And so then I left this relationship because I knew that I had to stop finding my identity in other people, and I had to surrender myself fully to God. And that's when I truly that day. And then it's funny because the next service that happened, I ended up not going, and the pastor asked for me. He was like, oh, where is she? He was like, God told me that when she was here, that she had this fire for Him, that this fire was building up in her, and it was Him, that she has a calling on her life. And they were really encouraging me to come back. And the second service I missed it, but the third service I went back, and my mentor, which is the lady that was taking me to church and everything, the lady that I met at her house, the lady's house I went to, amazing woman of God, and I've learned a lot from her. She told me, would you like to have that relationship with God again? Would you like to recommit yourself to Him again? I didn't really know what it meant to do that, but I was like, yeah, sure. I was like, I want to do it without really knowing what I was going to do. So that day I got saved and I gave my life to God, and little did I know that God I'm getting a little emotional. I'm sorry. Little did I know that God, okay, I'm not getting Rosemari, like, look, I'm emotional. It's funny because I'll get emotional, but I won't actually cry. I'm like, okay, anyways. It's just such a happiness in my heart. Little did I know that God was going to do something incredible in my life. Whew, I feel such a relief to know that I could have died any day of my life and would not have get to know the Father, would not met God, would not get to know how wonderful it is to just be in His presence. I would not have known the truth. But the truth is what truly set me free. The truth is what truly has set me free. And man, let me tell you, at the end of the day, you can go anywhere, you can do anything, you can travel the world, you can taste all types of food, you can be with whoever you want. But if you don't get to know God or live for Him in this lifetime, you failed that life. And that's just the honest truth. You didn't really come to fulfill your purpose. And I didn't even know I had, like, I knew I had a purpose, like, you know, but I didn't even know that there was a specific calling on my life that the Lord had for me. I didn't know that. And it gave me every purpose to get to know Him more. And, you know, let me tell you, man, this journey hasn't been easy. It has not been easy, but it has been one that has left a mark on my heart. And it's just something that has given me so much light and peace. And okay, so where did I leave off? I'm about to end this because it's about to be 30 minutes. But so I got saved that day, and in my head I was like, okay, am I supposed to feel something? Like, is something supposed to happen? Like something dramatic? No. But you really start getting to know God after that. If you're willing, because God is not forceful. He's not a forceful God. Your life will truly change forever. I'm telling you right now. And it's so true, that verse that says, seek me and you shall find me. If you seek God with just a little amount of faith, let me tell you, you're going to find Him. Because God is like this. To all of us, God is like this. Open the door. Well, He's not telling you open the door, but He's knocking at your heart. And it depends on you if you're going to open the door to Him or not. And I knew, man, there was something in my soul that was like, I knew something dramatic. Like, I felt in my spirit that something was about to happen in my life. I don't know what it was, but something good was going to happen. And God was just knocking at the heart of my door. He was really, really, really trying to get my attention. And I just thank Him so much because He is such a faithful God. He came through with my prayers. He is so faithful, man. He is so faithful. Because we also got to remember, praying without faith is nothing. When you pray, you got to have faith that whatever your prayer is, it's going to reach heaven, and God's going to do something with that prayer, and He's going to, He's going to respond to you. There's so much more to this, but I just really wanted to give the highlights of this testimony. After that, I started really, that's when I found the church I started going to now, The Crossing. Shout out to The Crossing, Tampa, best church ever. I love you guys so much. You guys have really helped me in my walk with God. That's when I really started getting involved in the church. That's where that real transformation started happening. Reading the Bible. Also on this channel, I really want to talk about just encounters I've had with God, God's presence, the Holy Spirit at church. There's so many stories I am ready to talk about, but this is one of the dearest, most closest stories to my heart, is when I finally got to know my Father, and when I truly got to know His name, and everything just clicked. I can't really explain it, but everything just made sense to me. When I started reading the Word, I'm like, this all makes sense. The reason I've been having these thoughts, the reason I've been so depressed, is because I have allowed the enemy to have access to me. And since he has access to me, he can do whatever he wants with me. And that's something I had to realize. So protect yourself in the blood of Jesus. Don't let the enemy have access to you. Let God change your life. So guys, that is all for today. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If there's something I left out, I'll probably remember later. But you know what? I prayed before this video, and I really prayed that God would just let me remember everything I could possibly remember. this is really a huge transformation that happens to my life, and it just goes to show that prayer is key. Prayer is key. All I did was pray. All I did was worship. All I did was, okay, whatever, I kept saying. Anyways, all I did was pray, and he came through. All I did was pray. All I did was have faith, and he came through. So guys, I encourage you that if you were stuck in that, like that place that I was stuck in once, you already know what worked for me, and it would work for everybody else, because this is just something that you can't lie about. Really, you can't lie about. So guys, I really look forward to sharing more little encounters. I have more testimonies that have happened after I got saved. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of tests that happened to me. There's just a lot to talk about. So guys, please comment. Please. Why can't I talk today? Why can't I talk? Please comment. Please like, share if you want to. And I just hope this video touched the hearts of many. And God bless you.